Real Gato TV in the building. Every day we getting better and better and better and better and better and better. Doing a little reaction content. There's a lot going on in the world today. Good googly moogly. It's a lot, man. I don't know what to react to today. I'm just going for the gauntlet today. Huh? Just going for the gauntlet today. It's a lot going on. But I'm here. God is great. All right. This is what we got first to review. Oh, man. The Punisher, Paul's no freaky. This Diddy trial thing is, fascinating on so many different levels. I did a podcast with my brother Eternal. Shout out to him, man. Let's make some noise. And I'm going to tie it in with what I believe is going to happen. What happened based on what I know. Obviously, I wasn't there. Thank God. Because that's crazy work. Inhumane stuff that's going on. But I want to really tie it into what I feel was taking place. And it definitely was something that was on a demonic level. Alex Crowley, I believe. Alistair Crowley was his name, I think. And he was a well-known Satanist. And long story short, he infiltrated the Hollywood system. He was around the Hollywood elites, blah, 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 blah. He introduced a lot of weird sexual practices to the Hollywood elite, according to my little bit of research that I've done. Some stuff out on YouTube. And I strongly believe that part of this whole thing with Cassie and Diddy and these depraved acts, I think all of this stuff was based on ritualistic sexual practices and humiliation, similar to like hazing. And let me just break this down, like from a little bit more of a spiritual standpoint, right? When you degrade a human being and you take away their humanity and you objectify a human being, we are all guilty of it. What happens is it allows you to bend their will a little bit more. And when you bend their will and you're able to manipulate their will, you're kind of playing God in their life. And the number one thing of the devil, of the enemy, is to literally exalt himself to the highest plane, higher than above the Lord's throne. Now, I don't want to get too preachy because I won't come on YouTube and say that I'm a preacher. I'm only going to kind of give y'all the real raw perspective on how I feel and what I think is taking place. I think with all of these practices, they were ritualistic. They were designed to humiliate. They were designed to destroy the self-esteem. And it was designed as a form of mind control. Now, let me just say this from what I understand. They were consulting adults. Ugh. Now, when it's that situation and they're consulting adults, that gets dicey because at some point, the people who were involved in these activities could have disengaged and kind of got in the way. Now, make no mistake about it, from what was disclosed in the trial so far, it looks like if they tried to get away, it was some consequences. Now, that's where we draw the line. However, I think once you open yourself up to a situation like this the first time, I think that from a spiritual standpoint opens up a door for something way more demonic. But this is interesting because now they have the male escort, or he's calling himself a male stripper, or was a male stripper, telling the story. And let's get into it a little bit. We're going to react just a little bit to it, okay? Let's see.
Right. So me personally, I've been able to be in this 30 years and never had to work in the gay club, never had to auction off my manhood for a price. But I'm not going to be judgmental on the guys that have the mental state to do it, to each his own, make your money. But I believe it starts there.
Fair use, by the way. Shout out to Real Life Productions. Fair use.
And yeah, I mean, to some degree, when you put a price on your sexuality, then that stigma kind of warrants it, right? Anything for money. But I don't care what it is. Everybody's going to have boundaries, right?
Okay, so now, right, with the court proceedings, they're pretty much labeling you a prostitute.
Fair use, by the way. Shout out to Real.
It's prostitution, right? I can't sidestep that, right? I think the only thing for me that throws me off is, like, I've been in this business 30 years, and if I
30 years to be in the adult entertainment business, that's a long time, bro. 30 years being a stripper, that's a long time, man. I don't know if I had a spirit to do all of that every single, well, I don't think I'd have that kind of energy.
I've been in a scenario for sex for money, right? It's been, let's say, 20 times, right? And so
20 times out of 30 years is kind of 30 years, 20 times. I don't know if you capping. I don't know if you telling the truth. I don't know. But that's a kind of small number for 30 years. I mean, I imagine like there's gonna be some, you know what I mean? Like women to pay you and press a point, but I don't know. I'm not part of that lifestyle. So we're gonna keep going.
Now that's the prominent label, right? As if I was been doing that for 30 years, and it's never even been like an overt sex for money. Like every now and then I'll look up and that 1 out of 10 ratio, a call, and women don't call up and say, hey, I want to hire you for sex, right? They're very discreet with it. They say, do you do one-on-ones?
That's what the
What's the NBA? Basketball? Street ball? Do you do one-on-ones? What? Do I do a one-on-one? No. That's crazy. All right, let's keep it going.
We had a chef that had that same
They
scenario.
say, do you do one-on-ones? Do you do massages, right?
Oh, that's the cat call.
So I'll get the call and I'll say, hey, maybe, whatever. And if I get her to send me a photo and I'm like, oh, she looks good, right?
Yeah.
I'm going in for my own personal interest, and then it's the ego. Like, oh, I got a chick that wants to pay me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, look, I don't care what you say. Name any guy that got an issue with, let me ask them when. And I'll say, hey, maybe, whatever. The last time a chick paid you for sex. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't gonna lie. I don't ever think that ever happened to me. I don't think that ever happened to me. I wouldn't even know how to take that. I would, when I was young and in the world and stupid, yeah, I'd probably been like, oh, this is lit. Now, if a woman offered me money for that, I'm gonna be like, man, I gotta pray for you. I gotta pray for you, because anyway, let's continue.
How many men can say that, right? So if you want to call me ego tripping on this scenario, then I'm gonna own that, right? But that is a ego boost, like flattering all day long. Because what women, the majority of women don't have to pay for sex. They just, and they get it, right? So if you're on that end, that's empowering for a man. So
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. But that what you just said is very interesting, and I'm gonna go back to it. You said that a woman paid you to come out, but doesn't your intent to prostitute really decides if it's prostitution?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can frame it that way, right? But I've never advertised it, right? I never. If I'm propositioned and it aligns with my sexual attraction or in the scenario works for me, then I'll go there without a doubt. But I'm not waking up every day saying, all right, let me put some ads on Craigslist, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, and generate income through a trade-off for sex, right? But if I'm propositioned through dancing or whatever the case may be, have I indulged? Absolutely.
So is that?
So I can see kind of what he's alluding to or what he's gonna get into. And it's my first time looking at this video, right? Like, I could tell the way that he kind of is framing this is that when he first had his encounters, he probably wasn't aware of how far away it was gonna go. He probably just thought he was there to like do a performance or something like that, because what he's saying is basically, look, if I had the opportunity to get a attractive female and they want to offer me some bread, Yeah, he's on it. And I don't know, like I said, I've never been put in that situation. I can't say how I would act, yeah or nay. But what I could say is, as a man of God, I would try to stay clear of situations like that. But when I was moving around Dusty, if a woman would approach me with something like that, I probably would have took up on that offer. And I'm not saying that to highlight it or make it sound like it's dope to do, because it's not dope to do that. You know what I mean? Like, having soul ties, even with what you would consider paid clients, is no good. Like, not at all. Because it's never just sex. As much as we like to say, oh, it's just sex and it's casual, it's never that. Like, you keep doing it repeatedly over and over and over, you kind of build a bond. And what I'm curious to know is if this guy actually built a bond over time with Cassie, because from what I was told, he was hired a lot. I mean, he was on the stand talking about his situation. So I'm wondering if he caught feelings and it's going to disclose that. But let's see.
That prostitution or a come up?
Maybe a combination of both, man. Maybe a combination of both.
Let me ask you one last question. I wanted to ask you, because we talked about it on the show a number of times, getting in that box and having these individuals ask you questions. How did that make you feel?
You mean on the stand?
On the stand.
Yo, man, on the stand, I had to almost check out, because forget the questions, man. Like, walking into a federal courtroom,
Yeah.
that ain't no Judge Judy, man.
Facts. I can only imagine. That's a high pressured situation. Like, you're going into a situation knowing that you're about to expose and get exposed, and you in front of strangers. You got an attorney, and I can only imagine, like, you probably going in there still thinking that you can get locked up for something, that you missaid or something that you should have never said, and I can only imagine that type of anxiety, man. I do not fare well with courthouses, police stations, police interactions. I do not fare well. Like, it does not work well for me. I don't like none of that stuff. I remember one time I had to go to something, I think it was like community service, man. I did something when I was young, like something dumb, and we had to clean the courthouse, and I had to go we had to clean the jail cells in the courthouse, and I had to go every day for like a whole summer. When I tell you I hated it, like, I hated everything about it, the bars, just being there, the smell. Oh, and that courthouse thing is just crazy. Just it's like being on an auction block getting ready to go on a plantation. That's how I felt every time I walked in there. Like, dang, somebody about to sell me into slavery, but we're going to continue.
I'm saying, like,
Walk us through that. Just give us, describe that for us.
So, man, like, first of all, it's they treat you in terms of the way they handle you as a witness as if you're testifying on, like, John Gotti. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, man, I'm talking about 2 agents come to your house, rush you in the car, you come out outside, it's just pop.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. But Diddy is a high profile figure. So, he's been involved in a lot of different things, political ties, business ties. So, for him to be like John Gotti or that's not really a far equivalent. I mean, I don't know what the full backstory of what was done, but like I said, that's not really a far equivalent considering the fame, just the fame alone. But we'll continue.
Paparazzi, everything's loaded outside. They grab you, they rush you in, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, this is crazy. And for me, I got almost like blindsided, because the procedure is supposed to be they hold you on the 8th floor, right? And then right before you go on, the witness before you, the court is on the 26th floor. So they take you to the 26th floor and they're supposed to hold you in a room across. And then whoever's testifying before you, when they finish, then they'll bring you over. So I'm coming up from the 8th floor to the 26th thinking I'm gonna be held. And right before me, I think was Cassie's mom, and they didn't cross her. Oh. So she just came off the stand. And when I think I'm going in the room, they're like, no, you in here. And I'm thinking I'm walking in the room, and I walk straight into the court.
Wow, that's crazy. So he ain't even get the time to prepare. He just up, elevator, straight to the court. That's wild. That's crazy.
So I didn't even know. So, bro, you go in there, man, like the doors is like 15 feet high. It's like rows and rows and rows of attorneys. Like, you sit up on the stand. I couldn't even find a prosecutor. And, bro, I had almost like a panic attack, man. Like, my hand.
Yeah, I can imagine, bro. I can imagine that, man. That's a lot. High profile case. You don't know what's going on. You never been put in that position before. Yeah, that's a lot, man. That's truly a lot. let me continue though. Let's see.
Hands started shaking. I was having trouble talking. It was rough, man. And the only thing that saved me was I got called to the stand about 10 minutes before lunch. So they just put me up there. They swore me in, asked me like 2 regular questions, and they had to break for lunch. And then they took me across the hall, and it took me about 15, 20 minutes, man, to gain my composure, man. It literally stopped my hands from shaking. It was.
Right.
It was,
Did the government
intimidating.
prep you before the testimony?
They did, but like the witness preps was kind of simple, right? Because everything they anticipated for the course was wrong, right? The course, they thought it was going to be a focus on attacking my credibility, which the defense did the opposite. They actually bolstered my credibility to make their case.
Right.
And the prosecution's direct questions was questions that they had asked me over and over and over and over again for months. So I was cool with everything, but the moment was the problem, man. The moment was just.
So
It's crazy how they prepped him for these questions months in advance. I thank God I never been in no situation like that. But I imagine like the preparation process must have been stressful too. But then to get on the stand and actually have to, repeat what you said, man, that's a lot. That is a lot. That's a lot. I don't, man. Been in no situation like that. But I imagine like the preparation, that's a lot.
okay.
What was the most intimidating part of it, though, that just got to you in the courtroom? Like the most intimidating part?
Everything.
The most intimidating part for me, if I'm keeping it 100, was avoiding. First of all, I couldn't find where Diddy was at.
Right.
The room was too big.
Nah, that's crazy. You couldn't find where Diddy was at. Yeah, but I wouldn't be trying to look for no Diddy, bro. Pause, no Diddy. Or however that worked, I don't know.
I didn't even know where he was. And then I was gonna avoid any eye contact, anything to any degree. Because I didn't want to deal with the possibility of there being like a intense stare or a negative or something that.
Nah, an intense stare down would have been crazy. That would have been crazy in the courtroom. Like making eye contact with the person who paid you to do the debauchery to their so-called loved one is reckless. You got to that's reckless. Like I said, man, I think this all was spiritual based. I think this was all like something spiritually is wrong in this whole scenario, because if you are with a woman and you love her, like, and this is your girl, like he was parading Cassie around, moving her around, like, and then you put her through something like this, there's something not there spiritually, because it's humiliation. It's humiliating.
That could be an issue, right? You gotta look. If you hear he didn't get bail because there's supposed to be an intimidation factor, right?
Right.
That's what the media is saying, whatever. So, and then I'll keep it 100. Like I spoke to a good friend of mine who's a retired Fed, and I asked him. I said, "Is there really a issue of retaliation, right, or something for just being involved?" And they're like, "It's real,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're in just."
Especially at that level, because I mean, let's just face it, it is what it is. He has a lot of influence. So yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know. Yeah. You never know.
Just in a real difficult space, because you got the Southern District, you got the federal government on one end, not really giving you a choice, and then your testimony or whatever could be the difference or be contributing to somebody spending life in jail. So it's just it's a rough spot, man.
So now, one of the things, right? There's a guy named Intercity Press that's covering the case. Everybody's hanging on every word. And one of the big things that came out of the testimony was that you almost made it seem as if you weren't coerced, or it didn't seem like Cassie was coerced into doing this. She actually liked doing it. So for you, was that the statement? It's just like it didn't seem like Diddy was holding her hand to the fire to make her do these freak offs. It was something that she was a willing participant in.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's my honest experience, right? Like, I remember, and this went on 2.5 years, right. And in 2.5 years, I never said a word to Diddy. We never had any communication. I never even had eye contact with him. Right. So he was a fly on the wall, baby. Yeah, so all my conversations, all my interactions, everything is with Cassie, and they're all cordial, right? They're all cordial, they're all cool, they're all pleasant to the point where like we're cool, and so.
See, that goes back to my point. So now you repeat it over and over and over again, and he's being very casual and nonchalant. But when he's saying we're cool, that means that there's starting to be some sort of bond formed. And that's because you keep having sex with this person. Regardless of the context, like it's physically a thing that you're doing. Like you're bonding yourself physically to somebody else, and then you know. Yeah, let's keep going. I just want to keep seeing what he's gonna say.
I didn't get a read of anything that could have remotely seemed like she was in distress, right? And the only things that I think the prosecution was trying to focus on, there was moments, because he would give directions, right? So there was moments when the directions would be very specific, like move the candle, like, all right, move it some more,
Right.
you move to the left, grab the oil. And at times I seen her like sigh, like, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever, but I think maybe those moments of her frustration, they wanted that to be distress, but I
See, I don't. That's interesting to me. Like that little thing that he said. You know, I'm not into that level of whatever he was into, and I'm referring to the direction, giving the direction. But I think, being that he was a powerful person, I think he got turned on by being able to just direct and dictate somebody, even down to their actual sexual positioning and practices. And I think that was about control, dictatorship, once again, humiliation, bending a person's will to make them do exactly what you want them to do, exactly how you want them to do it, and ultimately being their God. That's what I think that is on a spiritual level.
could not go up there from a place and frame it as distress, because that's not how I read it.
So there's, when you go to his house, there's gangs, tons and loads of baby oil everywhere.
No, so it wasn't a house. It was
Yeah,
hotel room.
the
right?
hotel room.
Yeah, not that, man. It was, so the setup would almost be like this, right?
Right. Okay.
This is almost a setup. I was like, oh, man.
This guy being cool about it too. Like, he's kind of a good interview. He's being cool about it.
Me, I'm like, yo, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, like, I guess, it wasn't nothing. I creep from the side, and I just found out, dude. All this time, all these.
Let's go back.
My bad, like, but you good, right? Like, you good, right? Everything's straight. I'm straight, but nah, she flipped out on me, man.
The side of your story, if anybody.
Because it almost sounded like you wanted to expose Cassie a little bit. I ain't gonna hold you. Just from the text, it almost wanted to say like, all right, bro, she capping a little bit now. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that prosecutors knew, right, that I was shocked didn't come up in the testimony part about it was one time I was she called me to come through, and I was in like Six Flags, like some foul shit. I was with my girlfriend, right? So I'm with my
That's
girlfriend
crazy.
at Six Flags, right? I'm with my girlfriend at Six Flags,
Right.
and she called up and was like, "Yo, are you free?" And usually when I would come through, it would be like 3 days in a row. I'd come Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. So I'm like, "Yo, you know what? I'm in Six Flags, and I come the next day." And she was like, "Oh, yo, if you can't make it, can you send somebody else?" And bro, I was butthurt, right?
Ah. That's what I was talking about. You were in your feelings. You were in your feelings. You can't negate that. You getting compensated. You going through all of that. But the minute you was made to feel like this was strictly a business transaction and can you send somebody else, you felt some type of way because you was soul tied to a woman that was soul tied to another man, and her only objective wasn't to please you or take care of you. Her objective was to please and take care of you in ordinance of another man who really had her captivated. And your heart was crushed because you didn't have her heart. You may have had her physically, but you didn't have her heart. And it just goes to show, once again, sex is a bonding agent, and it is designed for you to be doing that with your husband or your wife simply because there are parameters that are established by God when you establish that covenant with your husband and your wife. I learned that, man. And I ain't holier than thou. I ain't gonna sit up here and say that I'm holier than thou. But this right here, you could tell it hit him a little bit when she was like, "Oh, just send somebody else." He felt some type of way.
Whoa.
I'm
I was just about to
thinking-
go there, bro, because you've been getting this money consistently. No, but I'm saying, like, I would have felt some type of way about that.
Yeah, and also I think I'm special.
Right.
Ah, there you go. You thought you was something you wasn't because you were bonded and you didn't even catch it. It's so tricky, man.
Yeah,
Boyfriend, girlfriend
because
scenario?
I believed that at the time when this was going on, I thought I was the only guy they were doing this with. 'Cause when she first called me, it was like, it's my birthday, it's something special. So, you know, the few people I told, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm Cassie's guy, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Ego
so
shit,
when
So you thought you were more. You see, even a so-called professional, 30 years in the business, is kissing and telling. Because he caught feelings in a weird way. I think he did.
she said just send anybody else, I was just like, oh man, like I'm just,
Did you refer somebody?
hell no. I made up some excuse to my girl, hey, yo, something happened, we gotta go. Like, yo, we had drove there like 2 hours in traffic. We was there like 45 minutes, and I'm like, we gotta go. I'm double back. I'm coming back right now.
Nah, that was he left Shorty. He left Shorty for the FO. For the freak off. That is whack. It's nasty work, bro. Left it at Six Flags. It's crazy.
But I always wondered if that was something that could have been. But now that I think about it, that could go either way, right? Because if you're, you know, if you, obviously she has to set these up. But if she's like, yo, send somebody else, whatever the case may be, that could be spun, I guess, as favor of the prosecution or favor of the defense. So I guess they left it out.
So I think everyone wants to know this question now. You still with that girlfriend?
I'm not, yo. But here's the thing, right? I still got.
All right. So I get it. Just wanted to do a quick review of this, man. I thought this was kind of interesting. I think this is interesting. Like, I think, wow, man. Like, I was telling my brother E, shout out to my bro E once again. Like, there's so many dynamics in this Diddy case in terms of human interaction and even with spirituality. And, you know, me, like I said, I'm a God-fearing man. I believe in Christ. And when I see certain things, I try to look at it from the lens of what it looks like in the spiritual sense. And what I get from this whole thing is there's a lot of, obviously, like witchcraft and manipulation and using different types of tactics to control people and bend people to their will. Now, the interesting thing, and it's funny, I was talking to my dog Benny, is he guilty of the RICO? That's where it's going to get very tricky because so far it looks like everybody took proffer agreements and they safe and, you know, what they say cannot be used against them. But like, from my understanding of the RICO, it has to be multiple defendants. Like, where is Diddy's co-defendant? If he doesn't have a co-defendant, then where is the organization? If everybody got a proffer agreement in the organization, then that's kind of dicey, man. Just from the perspective of what I think I know of as a RICO. Like, but man, I think this case is gonna be wrapped up sometime after July 4th. I could be wrong. I don't know. But this is gonna be one for the history books, man. You know, there's so much to unpack. You know, how influence works, how money works, how, you know, the adult entertainment industry works, how manipulation works, how, you know, this is all, there's a lot going on. But what I could say is that, and from what I get from this case and what I've been learning and stuff like that, man, this is what happens when you don't have Christ in your heart and you don't have God in your heart. You're really not God-fearing. You know, like look, I'm not an angel by any stretch of the imagination, right? But I remember that my time as a person who was not looking for God versus where I'm at now, which trying to stay with God. Like, the point that you don't want to get to is where sin doesn't convict you. That's a scary place to be. Like, you could do whatever you want to do. Do what you want and nothing convicts you. That's a scary place to be because you have no limits. And then you end up doing stuff like this, which is just deplorable. And the wild part is his kids got to live with this. Like, his kids got to know the fact that their father is a deviant. It was, you know, peeing on people. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know, this is, you know, what happens when you don't have the foundation rooted in God. You just go all out. You know what I'm saying? You go all out. No limits. You could do whatever. And before you know it, you in this type of situation. Because let's say he get years in jail. Look, Diddy's what? In his 50s, mid-50s, late 50s. Let's say he get years in jail. 30 years, God, you know, whatever. I'm nobody's judge. But let's just say he get 30 years in jail. Is 30 years worth this? Like, could have this been avoided if you would have had a little bit more sexual discipline and you would have tried to live by how God wants us to live? Again, I'm nobody's judge, but this case is so interesting. This is one for the books, and there's going to be definitely, I think there's going to be laws changed. There's going to be some things that's going to be reviewed. Now, if he gets off, that's going to be, I don't even know what that's going to look like, to be honest. I don't even know how to speculate, man. But yeah, we'll see, man. Time will tell where this one goes. Anyway, another episode of Real Gato TV. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to be doing some content on TikTok. I'm going to be doing some Twitch streaming pretty soon. I'm getting real activated in the content creation space. I really enjoy it. It's fun to do. It's easy to do. It's quick to do. I like to, constantly keep myself updated on what's going on. So this is a good way to keep myself updated. If I'm watching YouTube and looking at certain things, I might as well just review it, put my thoughts, and contribute to the YouTube algorithm, as they say. But another episode, make some noise. Go like, comment, subscribe. Merch coming soon. And until next time.